Hey everyone! If these stories keep you awake at night, please consider subscribing to the channel and tapping the notification bell. It truly means the world to me. Thank you for being here. Now let's begin. I had always believed that marriage was a partnership. You share responsibilities, laughter, struggles. You fight, yes, but you fight together. I gave everything I had, my time, my energy, my money. In return, I expected honesty, loyalty, and a life we built side by side. But slowly, quietly, everything started to unravel. At first, I ignored the small signs, telling myself they didn't matter because I wanted to believe in us. It started with little things. A shrug when I asked her about bills, a fleeting glance at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I convinced myself it was nothing. I reminded myself that no marriage is perfect, that we both have flaws, that compromise is the language of love. But there's a line between compromise and surrender, and I was crossing it every day without realizing it. Then one evening, she said it across the kitchen table, her wine glass catching the soft light. She looked at me and said, "Intimacy isn't everything." The words floated in the air, light and almost casual, but the weight of them hit me like a hammer. I didn't respond immediately. I wanted to, but I also wanted to measure her, to see if she even understood what she had just said, or it was some passing thought thrown carelessly into conversation. She repeated it, softer this time, as if she expected me to agree. I mean, sex isn't the most important thing, right? I leaned back and stared at her. For a moment, I tried to believe it was just a comment, a fleeting doubt, a line meant to be harmless. But the tone, the ease with which she said it, made it clear she wasn't asking. She was declaring it. I remembered every morning I woke early to make sure the house ran smoothly. Every night I stayed late at work to pay the bills. Every sacrifice I made quietly, without complaint. I remembered the money I spent to keep her comfortable while she pursued hobbies, nights out, or endless shopping trips. And suddenly, the scales tipped. If intimacy wasn't everything to her, why should financial support be everything for me? I said it plainly, without yelling, without theatrics. Neither is paying your bills. The silence that followed was deafening. Her eyes widened slightly, not in fear, but in surprise, as if she hadn't expected me to respond with the same blunt honesty she had just shown. I watched the color drain from her face as she processed the words. The house, once warm and familiar, suddenly felt cold, distant, unfamiliar. It wasn't just about money or intimacy anymore. It was about respect, boundaries, the realization that she could take everything I gave and still dismiss the simplest expectations of partnership. I had spent years anticipating her needs, smoothing over every friction, keeping peace where there was none. And now I realized she had no intention of meeting me halfway. She opened her mouth to respond, perhaps to defend herself, perhaps to shift blame. But I held up my hand. No explanations. No arguments. I didn't need to justify myself. The truth hung in the air like smoke, visible, undeniable. For years, I had been invisible in my own marriage, seen but not acknowledged, heard but not understood. Now, finally, I was present in my own life. When she finally spoke, it was a predictable mix. Shock, annoyance, a hint of condescension. "That's not fair," she said. "I'm not saying you don't matter, but intimacy isn't the only thing a marriage is about." And in that moment, I realized the truth. She had defined marriage all along by what she wanted to take from it, not what she wanted to give. Love, commitment, partnership. To her, these were conditional, optional, transactional. And I had been blind, assuming my efforts would naturally be returned, my sacrifices recognized, my presence valued. I got up and began to pace. For years, I had internalized every slight, every criticism, every passive-aggressive remark, thinking that if I tried harder, gave more, worked longer, she would notice. I thought I was married to someone who valued me. But the truth was harsher. I had been married to someone who valued what I provided more than who I was. The room was quiet now, except for the ticking of the wall clock. Clarity settled over me like a cool, steady wind. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was recognition. I saw the imbalance, the mismatch in our expectations. For the first time, I acknowledged my own worth without hesitation. I wasn't willing to accept a marriage where my presence, my efforts, my contributions were negotiable, where intimacy was optional, where respect was conditional. In that moment, I knew a choice had to be made, not from anger or spite, but from principle. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't negotiate. I wasn't going to continue supporting a partnership that no longer nourished me. I would no longer finance a life where my needs, my desires, my presence didn't matter. Because if intimacy isn't everything for her, then paying her bills shouldn't be everything for me. And that truth, stark, unwavering, was my first step toward reclaiming my life.